Hey guys, what's up? It's Christian. I'm a new grad PA. Today in this video, we're going to talk about my exact journey all the way from pre-PA student to a new grad PAC. So we're going to go through what I did for patient care experience, what I did for my leadership experience, my volunteer experience, whether I took the GRE or PA CAT, and all of my stats going into PA school and when I applied. So I think the best place to start is going all the way back to what I did for my patient care experience. So that was a physical therapist assistant. So that is a 2 years associate's degree that I completed in around a year and a half because I had extra courses from my community college. So what a physical therapist assistant does is they can work in outpatient, they can work in inpatient. So I primarily worked in inpatient in an inpatient rehab hospital, working with primarily geriatric patients. Right now, as far as what do I recommend for patient care experience, I think it really depends on the person. So some great options are medical assistant, EMT. I actually looked into an EMT course myself. I think it's a great option, as well as a CNA. Anything where you're really doing as much as you possibly could and you want direct contact with patients specifically. So probably my top two picks, again, are ones that are jobs that are entry level. So things like, a PT aide rather than a PTA, which is what I was. So a PT aide could just require a high school degree and you can get into, again, it's only in physical therapy, but specifically, whereas I like EMT and MA, because you're more on the medical side of things and you're seeing a lot more of the medication usages, and you might even get experience with vaccine administration and doing blood work and things along those lines, which would help you as a PA student. So my top two picks are EMT and medical assistant. So between the two of those, EMT courses could take a little while. Typically you have to do them in person, whereas MA programs, you could also do them in person, but there was a really great program from Advanced E-Clinical Training. You could find more information down in my description below. So it's a fully online based program. You can complete it in as little as 2 months. So it's done at your own pace, which is what I love about the program. I find that students love it this way, being able to do it while you're doing your pre-PA courses and everything, because there's so much that we have to do. We all know that. So it's such a help to be able to do it along with everything else. And in as little as 2 months, you can start gaining patient care experience with a job as an MA that is competitive pay. It is just a great option for every pre-PA student. I find that a lot of students will prefer ACT's online CCMA course because it is completely self-paced. You could do it along with your other pre-PA studies. And the modules are set up, they're modularized. So each chapter is a different subject, and it's a very structured program. And I think it's easy to follow for many students. One thing I didn't realize as I was getting into the CCMA program through ACT is that how clinically relevant it is to PA school. So it's broken down into different modules and subjects such as cardiology, pulmonology, and then the skills that you would need to be an MA. But a lot of this mirrors the curriculum that we learn in PA school, obviously to a lesser extent. But I think it's a great introduction to becoming a PA student and then ultimately becoming a PA, and a great base for your patient care experience. If you want to learn more about ACT's online CCMA program, you can check it down in the description below and use my code Christian100 for some money off your purchase. So as a pre-PA, the things that I focused on primarily aside from patient care experience, we're getting a ton of volunteer experience, getting a ton of different shadowing experience, focusing on studying for my GRE, and also keeping my GPA up as high as possible, specifically my science GPA. So for volunteering experiences, a lot of common misconceptions students have is that it has to be healthcare or medical experience like inside a hospital. This is not true, and I would honestly argue that school wants to see a diverse set of experiences. So it's great if you can get into a hospital. Sometimes it's difficult to be able to volunteer specifically in healthcare. Some other great options are Habitat for Humanity. See if your school has any local programs. Some schools, if it has like a religious sector to it, they might do medical mission trips, or even some non-religious schools will do medical mission trips. My school actually had a mission trip to Guatemala I was going to be on before COVID struck. And I think that those experiences really set you apart from other applicants. The other thing you'll want to look for in relation to volunteer experience is leadership experience. So if you can combine both in some way, that's great. So leadership experience, you could do something like tutoring other students. You could lead like a team during a medical mission. anything along those lines. If you're training people at work, as supervisor, it's just great to have that leadership experience, especially if you could go through like an organization or something along those lines, like a student intern even in your state PA organization. So next is the standardized testing. So for me, this was the GRE. So obviously you want to study as much as possible for this. I would say at least a month at a minimum. So if you could take it over the summer as a pre-PA, that's a great option during your maybe sophomore or junior year I would say the year before you apply, in case you have to retake it. Nowadays they have the PA CAT you could take as well. So it's more science focused than the GRE, so you at least want to wait until you have all the science courses as a pre-PA to take that. The GRE is more math and verbal focused, so you don't necessarily have to have all those science courses and experiences. I think right now it's a fair even split regarding PA programs and whether they require the GRE or the PA CAT. The PA CAT hasn't become fully as established as the GRE specifically. And a lot of people ask me why I chose PTA as a profession and why I went from PTA to PA or physician assistant. So essentially, I didn't really know what I wanted to do growing up, and I knew I wanted to do something that had to do with health, and I wasn't really into medicine at the time. So I chose PTA because I knew it'd be quicker than going for a PT. My original plan was to go to physical therapy school after PTA. But as I was on my clinicals as a PTA student, I kind of realized, and I was in acute care hospitals, outpatient, and I really enjoyed outpatient more than inpatient, more than outpatient, specifically acute care hospitals. And then I was in the ICU as a PTA, and I just felt like there was, I saw the PAs doing their work, and it really stood out to me that they were, talking to the nurses, talking to the patient, interacting with the PTs, and they were just involved in so many different aspects of the patient's care. And I just really thought that was awesome. And then when I looked into the profession, I had never actually heard of it or knew about it before. I thought PAs were just, kind of like MAs where they bring the patient back in the room and do their stuff, and then the physician comes in. And I didn't find this out until like 18 years old when I looked up what the PA profession was, and I realized they could work in any specialty. The pay was competitive, and I just fell in love with the profession and working in medicine, and specifically working with patients. And I just became really passionate about going to be a PA. So then at one point, I had all my volunteering hours. I had multiple shadowing experiences from reaching out to personal contacts, reaching out to hundreds of people on LinkedIn, to PAs in my area to ask them if I could shadow. I did online shadowing hours. I did through somebody from my pre-PA club from a clinic that said they're willing to take students. So I did that. I had my volunteering experience. I had my leadership experience. I had my GRE under my belt. My GPA was up there at 3.9 and I was ready to apply. So essentially what I had been doing is talking to my program director at the program that I applied and trying to keep up with her during my pre-PA journey. So that I kind of had a foot in the door and had an interaction with her, and we knew each other on a first name basis, and she recognized my face. So when I went to the interview, I think that helped a lot in this situation. I recommend that every student kind of just reach out to their programs that they want to apply to and just ask them if they could ask some questions about their program and kind of get to know them and allow them to get to know you. So then when you go for that interview, it's not your first time seeing them, so you have an advantage over other students. So I applied as an internal applicant. I was part of the 3+2 program as a transfer student, as a pre-PA. So I was able to have a kind of an automatic acceptance as long as I met my GPA requirements, but I still had an interview. So I did only apply to one school. I didn't apply through CASPA. I recommend if you are applying through CASPA to apply to at least 7 to 16 schools, 16 maximum. Research shows based on acceptance rates that this is the best options for you to get your money's worth. Past 16, there's no additional benefit. Essentially, I started PA school in September of 2022, I believe. And then I got the NHSC scholarship at that time, and I was able to go through PA school completely debt-free. If you want to know more about my specific journey through PA school from didactic year to clinical year, and now being a new grad physician assistant, Just leave in the comments below what part of that journey you want to hear about, and if you want to hear about what my experience was like in PA school. I do have other videos in my past videos here that go through my journey through PA school, and I actually have a Q&A with some of my friends from PA school you could check out. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching.